The way that we live is not for everybody. We're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner.
I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and shawty is the winner. You can tell that shawty's on.
You know what time it is. It's time to come out.
I love the way she move it, shake it on me.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We have the Washington Commanders live stream. And in today's live stream for the third consecutive week, we're back. My guy Rico from Street Scores and the real Ed Oliver, not the one from the Bills. Even though we may see the one from the Bills, I don't know how you ready for that matchup, Ed. I don't know.
Sure. I love that.
They're here with me yet again, and as Rico said last week, man, this seems to be a part of the superstition for the Washington Commanders to win a Super Bowl. How y'all feeling?
Feeling great. Let's keep it going, man. Why stop now?
Yeah,
Yes,
why not
sir.
us? Why not us? Crazy. NFC Championship, man. I was watching some of the press conferences today and seeing that NFC Championship banner behind Dan Quinn and the backdrop. In the interviews, man, it's just crazy, man. It's surreal.
Yeah, nah, definitely. I feel like I'm messing up the party right now, man. I think I gotta go change. My boy Rico got the 5 on, Ed got the 5 on. I guess I ain't catch the memo. I might gotta go change, but nah, man. Ed, you already started it off. I mean, I don't know if it really hit me until last night. Like last night, it was like late night. I was on the NFL's like page, and they were showing like the potential Super Bowl matchups. And they at first it was the Eagles and Chiefs and Eagles and Bills, and then I swiped over one more time, and I saw Washington versus Chiefs, and I saw Terry McLaurin's face and Travis Kelce, and I said, man, this is real. Like the Washington Commanders is one game away from winning this, or at least going to the Super Bowl and hopefully winning. So, Rico, I'm gonna start with you. Have it completely sunk in yet that the Washington Commanders is 60 minutes away from winning or going to the Super Bowl?
Nah, man. Every time I think about it, I'm like, is this actually real? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know how to feel because we haven't been here before, at least in my lifetime. So I don't even know exactly what it feels like. I mean, granted, my Georgia Bulldogs are doing great things a couple of years ago, but like I was born into the Commanders. Like Georgia was more like I picked it up like middle school, early high school. Was like, all right, let's do this. But Commanders, like it's my whole family into it. Like I got my mom, all.
We keep doing that, you know what I'm saying? So
How long do you guys
But yeah, you got my mom, my cousins, my grandparents, everybody. Like I can hear people screaming from other rooms. I see them all in like the group chats going. So it's just different. Like Georgia, it's kind of me and like a few of my friends I know, but like Commanders is like a big time family thing. So I don't know how to feel for myself. I don't know how to feel for all of them. So it's just different.
Hey, what about you? My fault about that. I hit the wrong button over here.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna definitely get the name right this time.
Yeah. Talk to me, Ed. How you feeling?
No, man, it's just a surreal feeling, man. When I woke up Sunday morning, like it was still like unbelievable. Like I couldn't sleep. I really couldn't sleep after winning that game like that in that fashion on the road in such a big stage, like dominating them for like really that second half. I mean, like it's just insane. We haven't been there. We haven't been to the NFC Championship in 33 years. Like I haven't seen this in my lifetime. So it's a surreal moment. It's hard to believe it, man. But we're here, man. We're here. And 60 minutes away from a Super Bowl. Like we're talking about the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, before the season, like we were not thinking like this. I mean, some people did. Some bullish fans did. But to come here with a rookie quarterback and a new head coach, just a lot of newness. Like it's just an insane feeling. So I know the city's hype right now. Like going to the grocery store, you see a lot of Commanders fans. You see a lot of Commanders flags on cars. Like the whole city's lit, man. The fan base is buzzing, man. Like it's insane. A lot of going back and forth with Eagles fans on Twitter and stuff like that too. So it's just crazy feeling, man. Crazy feeling.
Definitely. And I mean, look, it like I said already before, man, it's like you said, Ed, in the earlier, you see everyone rocking the Commanders gear, everyone just excited about the team. I got my Jaden Daniels jersey on in the gym, and people just stopping me and saying, "Hey, man, that kid right there is something special." And just everybody's excited because I mean, we've all been there throughout these years. I used to wear my Redskin Commander gear, like or football team gear, still supporting the team even though we were trash. And now it's just like a different feeling being able to support your team and not get looked at funny for it because you're like, you really support the team that got 3-4 wins, and now we're the team that everyone wants to look to and build their franchise like. So Ed, I'm glad you brought up the point about the Philadelphia Eagles fans, because there is, I guess some people just don't learn, man. They don't learn. They're out there talking crazy, just like Lions fans. And I guess they're just going to have to realize and see exactly what the Lions got, because they're talking, I would say, equally as crazy, even probably more so, because they got their former players in on it this time. Rico, have y'all got a chance to check that out? Seth Joyner, I think his name is, actually said a little bit of something, and I finally got the video. So I'm gonna play the video clip, and then I want to get your reactions to what he said. And for him, it's like 10,000 other podcasters out there that feels the same exact way. Check this out.
Jaden Daniels, would you say he is already the 5th best quarterback in football? If the top 4 in whatever order are Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen, do you think he's 5?
I don't give any young guy that kind of respect. Show me you can do it from year to year. I'm not giving you that in 1 year.
Even if he beats Eagles?
No, we had, how many times have we had 1 year wonders? You know, so let's wait and see before we start crowning guys. Okay. He could go completely in the tank next year. And, you know, here we are talking about, you know, what a great rookie year he had. And by the way, they don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of winning here on Sunday. You know that, right?
You heard what happened to the last security guard.
We got the plays. We got the offensive line that is going to run over the defensive line, the 30th ranked defensive line against the run in the NFL. The Commanders are about to get stomped.
I get it out there to McLaurin. Breaks through. Terry McLaurin. Foot race. McLaurin is going to win. Touchdown, Washington.
So Ed, I'm gonna start with you, man. Seth Joyner and the Eagles fans must ain't learn what happened to the last security guards, because they're out here talking crazy, just like Lions fans.
No, I'm telling you. Yeah, I mean, you heard what the Lions fans said. The other guy who was like you got the third worst rushing defense and your rookie quarterback. You think you're gonna stop that? You think you're gonna stop us from getting to the NFC Championship? You see what happened to him. You see what happened to Bears fans when they was talking trash about Jaden Daniels, and we beat him with the Hail Mary. So every team that has given us bulletin board material, whether it's a podcast or whoever, a player, Cam Taylor-Britt calling us a college offense, like it's been starting since week 3. Ever since he said that college offense thing, man, we write it down. De'Ami Brown with Armand Ross, St. Brown, any fuel to the fire basketball guys from Ben Johnson. Any fuel to the fire, we take that, man. So people they're not going to learn their lesson. So Seth Joyner is the next guy on the list. He's next on the hit list, man. So I'm happy. I love when podcasts and radio stations and all those people from opposing teams give us that bulletin board material. So Dan Quinn, go ahead and play that in the locker room. Get the guys hyped. I love it.
Rico, what about you? Got a chance to hear Seth Joyner? Talk to me.
Man, they seem like they just want to learn the hard way, and that's the only way they want to go about it. Because I understand predicting your team to win, especially like as a podcast guy, media member like we are and things like that. I understand predicting your team to win, but it's the way they're saying it, like not a snowball's chance. There's no way we're going to stomp you. It's going to be a blowout and things like that. That's the bulletin board material behind it. You can be confident, but they take it too far. And so I love the fact that they just put another target on their back. I feel like we were already going to win this game, but the way that they've been talking crazy, I could just see us being extra motivated. Dan Quinn even said in his press conference today, like, he basically said we have a bunch of maniacs on the team. Like, they love contact and the hit, and you see them smiling after extreme forms of contact. Like, it's a bunch of madmen on the team, basically. And so they're really looking forward to this. I mean, because a lot of people are completely just not giving us any credit for beating the Eagles last time, saying Jalen Hurts didn't start as if like he's an all-pro safety and could have prevented us from putting up the most points against them than they've allowed all season. And then they're just completely ignoring the fact that we just went into Detroit and beat Detroit that way when most people thought they were the best team, at least in NFC, let alone the entire NFL to most people. And now they're just going to ignore that and act like the Eagles are suddenly better than them just because we're playing the Eagles. And then, I mean, people are really ignoring how bad the Eagles offense looked this past week against the Rams, especially Jalen Hurts specifically, and the injuries they got to deal with. So, man, keep that trash talk going. We'll see. We'll see on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm glad you already gave us a preview when we get to the Eagles preview portion, because there are a lot of things that are intriguing about the way we can attack this Eagles team, both offensively and stopping them with our defense. Sorry I'm late to the party, but I have my 5 on now. I had to join the rest of the fellas with the good luck charm. But no, you said it right. I think DQ was talking. I want to say he was starting with Frankie Louvu when he was talking about Maniac, because that's the first person that popped into my head, especially after that hit he put on Jared Goff. Man, like he's football.
An honorary crash out.
Yeah, like
it started all the way back from the League Neighbors week 2. He's been doing it since then.
Oh, yeah, and they put like a little compilation together with him, like just being out there crashing out, going crazy, man. I just love the way he plays the game. He plays with passion, and he plays it how it should be played. And a lot of people are crying as if he's playing dirty, which the 2 hits that they keep trying to say he did dirty, he didn't make contact with their heads. The Jalen Hurts one, the concussion, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I looked at it wrong, but it looks like the ground caused that concussion, not Frankie Louvu targeting his head. And then obviously the Jared Goff one, I mean, it was just a good block. Like, what do you expect? Get out of the way. It's playoff football. If you don't want to get hit, don't try and make a tackle. So, Ed, I don't know if you let me know if you got a chance to check out the 44-minute presser, as you already mentioned, the backdrop and stuff like that. I thought, typically I should have expected them to do something a little bit different because it is NFC Championship week. But typically it's just DQ and Jay and Daniels and Rico. I got the notification before we came on. You just uploaded the video of DQ basically saying like F you to Tampa, because he felt some type of way all the way from week 1 about them kind of disrespecting us in a sense. So any key points you got from DQ, Jaden, Terry, Zach Ertz, and I think Frankie Louvu, Ed, if you got a chance to check it out?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see a lot of the individual players. The most that I really got to see was what Dan Quinn had to say. And he said that he's been thinking about using the top 5 offensive linemen for he said there's been a lot of thought about putting their best 5 offensive linemen on the field after Sam Cosmi's season-ending injury. And a lot of people think if you're going to put your best 5 guys out, then Cornelius Lucas would be one of the best of the 5 guys. Of course, left tackle is going to be Brandon Coleman, left guard is Allegretti, centers Tyler Biadasz, and then right tackle would be Andrew Wiley. But if you do put Lucas out there, and he's one of your best 5 offensive linemen, then Lucas would be your right tackle, and right guard would be Andrew Wiley. Andrew Wiley would kick in the right guard. Andrew Wiley did play guard with the Chiefs a little bit. I think he played guard a couple snaps here, if I'm not mistaken. So that would make sense. Now, Trent Scott, he wasn't bad against the Lions. He had a good game. It was only, a couple quarters. He played, 3 quarters when the Sam Cosmi injury happened. So how will he do against, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis? That's the biggest question mark. But if you don't trust Trent Scott and you're like, hey, let's put Lucas at right tackle, who's had a solid season so far this whole year, and then you put Wiley, a guy that you trust who's been in the league for years and years and years with the Chiefs and with us, and put him at right guard, this is a no margin for error type game, man. If Jalen Carter wrecks this game, man, it can go sideways, man. So that's a big decision that Dan Quinn has to make. So I like Trent Scott. Don't get me wrong. I like him a lot. I think he's an athletic guy. He's a good locker room guy. He had the touchdown against the Bengals and all that. He came in and played well in a pinch. But, Dan Quinn, he's got a decision to make. So that stood out to me, that he's willing to think about that.
Mm-hmm. Rico, what about you? I mean, you can also talk about the Trent Scott, stepping in or going with our best 5 guys as well. But anything, from all the guys that spoke today that really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, the fact that Terry McLaurin said like there's a certain standard now, like he even said like in the past it was hard to hold people accountable. Like maybe you can even notice somebody not doing what they're supposed to do, but if the culture isn't there, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of weird, it's pretty awkward. It's hard to just, now naturally the culture holds everybody accountable. You don't even have to necessarily say something yourself, but if you need to, like the environment's just set up in a way to where it makes sense to do it. But yeah, the offensive line situation is interesting because I feel like I guess we have like three main options. Like we have the one where Dan Quinn said play your five best most talented guys. That would mean moving Andrew Wiley to right guard and put Cornelius Lucas in at right tackle. Or you can just do like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and keep Trent Scott in at right guard in place of Samuel Cosme, leave Andrew Wiley at right tackle. Or because neither of those guys we've talked about, are like full blown guards. I mean, maybe Chris Paul is active for maybe the first time this season. I feel like that's the least likely option. I feel like that would be too much rust to dust off, and there's a reason he's been inactive in games. They clearly don't trust him. So I'm thinking maybe you start with option two. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe give Trent Scott the try at right guard. If it doesn't work, then adjust. Because I feel like a really bad scenario would be you overthink it. You go ahead and throw the five most talented offensive linemen out there, and then it doesn't work as well. And then, people are going to complain and about how, like, we had a good O-line against Detroit. But granted, there's a lot of factors involved in that because the Eagles' defensive line is better than Detroit's. So that's kind of like hard to look at what Trent Scott did against the Lions and assume he'll be able to do that against Jalen Carter. That's almost nearly impossible to expect of him. So I think it's an interesting situation. I say go ahead and let Trent Scott go out there in the beginning. If it doesn't work, then Cornelius Lucas has shown he can come in mid-game and play well. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. And I was also thinking from another standpoint is if you put Andrew Wiley at guard and then start Cornelius Lucas, say something happens to Coach Luke, now you're down a really good backup swing tackle. Granted, Trent Scott could come in at that point too to fulfill that role, but you would love a really good, healthy Cornelius Lucas coming off the bench if need be. And if you put that five out there, you're risking not having that as a possibility. So I'm with you, man. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Until it shows like, okay, we have a serious problem and we need to address it. So that is a really good point that you brought up. So I guess I'll continue with that, Ed. You already mentioned Jalen Carter. That's the guy that we're circling on that defense, along with Zach Bond as well. But that is the guy that can seriously wreck a game. Rico's Georgia Bulldog and whatnot. So, Ed, starting with you, if you were Joe Witt, I said Joe Witt, Cliff Kingsbury, what would you do to make sure you're able to kind of slow down to Jalen Carter? Because I look at him as kind of like a Saquon Barkley. You may not be able to completely shut him down, but you can do some things to slow his effectiveness down.
Definitely double him, send protection, slot protection his way. I mean, you just really look at what they did against the Eagles the last time they played them. The first time we played him on Thursday night, that's when he really wrecked the game. But the second time we played him, I thought we did a good job of keeping him in check. And then also Jaden's mobility was a big part of it. Like there was the first and 10 in the second half on the touchdown drive where Jalen Carter really almost had Jaden, but Jaden's just too slippery and basically Allen Iverson crossover on Jalen Carter and juked him out of shoes and got that first down. So a lot of Jalen's mobility is going to be a factor into it too. And then kind of just similar to the game plan against the Lions, man, we've done a really good job of picking up the blitz against the Lions, whether it's having another tight end in there to block or just picking it up. Like everybody's been on the same page. B-Rob did a better job in pass protection. Eckler's did a good job against the Lions too. So and then also just Jaden sticking in there and reading the field because they blitz on the De'Ami Brown pass where he got hit in the face by Kirby Joseph. So I think a lot of that's going to be a factor in there too. Just everybody, picking up the blitz and being ready for that too. So, but yeah, you're definitely gonna have to double them, especially with Cosme being out. Like Trent Scott's going to need help, or whoever, whether it's going to be Wiley who's kicking in the right guard. Like we're going to have to double that guy. You can't just leave him one-on-one because he's a game wrecker, man. He's a game wrecker because even in the second game, like he forced a fumble on B-Rob where B-Rob was, saying guaranteed to win. And we ended up winning anyway, but still, like, just plays like that can't happen, man. And he calls plays out. He was like, they're pulling. And he called the play out and forced a fumble on that same play. So got to be smart against Jalen Carter, man. He probably is like he's the X factor on that defense, man. So he probably is key number one is how are you going to handle Jalen Carter?
Nah, definitely. And also another thing before I'll let Rico go, is he loves doing trying to catch a team off guard when they try to spike the ball. He tries to like
Right.
swipe at it. That's another thing that you got to look out for, because something tells me, hopefully not this week, but something tells me at some point it may work in his favor because he loves trying it. Now Jaden is too quick and he obviously peeps it every single time, but that is also another thing that you got to watch out for. So Rico, we know you got a history with Jalen Carter, so you're probably the go-to guy to tell us how to slow this monster down, because this dude is absolute beast.
Well, his talent is undeniable. Literally, your best way is to take him out of the game mentally. Like, frustrate these guys, like obliterate them off rip, score points on them, stop them from scoring points, get like a significant lead. Because this is the type of team that's pretty dysfunctional from top to bottom. Coaching staff, players fighting players, blaming players, coaches not liking coaches. You had their head coach argues with the fans and things like that. This fan base is quick to boo the team. This is as dysfunctional as a team could possibly be while being successful. If we can get a big enough lead on them with their backs on the wall and things like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they start to melt down. But yeah, Jalen Carter specifically, I mean, maybe you get into his head because talent-wise, it's not much you can really do. Now, of course, schematically, Tyler Biotis, you just got to help with to just lean his way, whichever way. Jalen Carter's closest to the right guard. Tyler Biotis help Trent Scott out, whoever's at right guard. Even if he's over to the left side, I like Nick Allegretti, but Tyler Biotis help him out a little bit as well. Because the Eagles usually blitz quite a bit, but like a lot of the times when we played them, they were most effective only sending four of this because Jalen Carter was able to get pressure. That defensive line was able to get pressure by themselves, so they can have 7 guys in coverage, forcing Jaden Daniels to be like basically be able to see the future to be able to complete a pass. And so we got to be able to block those guys and force them into blitz situations because Jaden Daniels is elite against the blitz, but we got to force them to even want to. We got to make sure they're not able to get pressure with those 4, and stopping Jalen Carter is a huge part of that. If you got to double team them, chip them, whatever you got to do, make sure Jalen Carter does not take over this game.
I definitely agree with both of you. And another thing that I also said we need to take advantage of, this has to be a Brian Robinson or Stackler kind of game. We know the Eagles are very prone to giving it up on the ground. I mean, Kyron Williams, granted, he did have a fumble that pretty much cost them that game in the NFC playoffs last week, but he ran for over 100 yards. Rico Dowdle ran for over 100 yards. Like, they're prone to giving it up on the ground. So I think that's another way that you can neutralize Jalen Carter's disruptiveness, is establishing a really good run game. And even if you don't establish like a super duper great run game, getting 5, 4, 6 yards per carry can be really a good to open up the offense more, allowing different looks on the Eagles defense, because we know they love to sit in that 2 safety high look, allowing their coverage, their 2 safeties over top to stay over top, which allows us to kind of not take them shots, what I'm saying? Not have those open deep post or deep routes that we kind of love at times. But if you run the ball effectively, that is going to allow them to switch up that look and maybe have some different kind of chances where they have single coverage, single high with just Gardner Johnson over the top, which allows you to take those shots to De'Ami Terry against a Quinyon Mitchell who is banged up as well. So I think it starts with obviously getting multiple hands on him. Hey, I'm thinking we got to get 3 sets of hands on him, 2, and then have a tackle chip on his way to his actual assignment. That's how disruptive this guy is. But establishing a run game for me is definitely key because it's going to allow the offense to be opened up a little bit more. Before we move on, though, we do have a couple super chats. Shout out to Optimal Focus. Thank you so much. He says, "This is surreal. OMG. We got to show Eagles we not a joke. Wow, we are 1 game from the Super Bowl. We could do this, man." That is the feeling that is not only in that locker room, but amongst this fan base. We definitely could do it, man. And again, like we already said, no one expected this to be the case, but hey, look, it's real. You know what I'm saying? And this team is definitely in a position to not only go to the Super Bowl, but win it in the first year of a recalibration. So, man, you're right, Optimal Focus. We can do this, and we got this. And then we got my guy, Dewan Drake. Shout out to Dewan Drake. That's twin right there. Got the same name as me. He says, "I believe in our coaching staff. I believe they will make the right decision." So let's go ahead and finish right there off that super chat, man. Rico, I'll start with you here. How do you see our coaching staff matching up against Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio, who had high praise for Jay Daniels?
I think we match up really well because Dick Fangio, I mean, his defense, especially in the playoffs that time with the Denver Broncos, was crazy. But I feel like, first of all, the last time we played against them, they had the #1 defense, and then Cliff Kingsbury and this offense obliterated them. So we should already not have any fear of them anyway, because we've seen that we can do what we need to do against a great defense like that. And I feel like, if anything, we've gotten better on both sides of the ball since the last time we played the Eagles. We're playing more confident. We have more of an identity. I feel like back then we were really good, but we didn't really have like a full-blown identity. I feel like since the Buccaneers game, we know exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We are going for fourth downs pretty much no matter what. It's expected. Even if we fail the first one or the second one or whatever, we're going to keep going and keep trying. It's to the point that we don't really question it. We're not like looking at Dan Quinn crazy for doing it, because it's literally how this team operates. So there should be no fear there, because we already have an identity now. We're a better team. We have proven success against them. But even just on paper, I just feel like Joe Witt Jr. can do some things to scheme, especially against Jalen Hurts and those guys. I feel like Joe Witt Jr. has done a great job of maximizing the talent that we do have, because this defense is still like not that talented. It's only been one off season. They're still missing pieces away from like turning this into like the defense that they envisioned from coming from the Cowboys, would being the best takeaway defense in the NFL for 3 years in a row. They still want to get to that. And I feel like they've been making do with what they've had so far. And then I just feel like Joe Witt Jr., as this defense gets more confident, as they start to learn each other better, they're only going to play better. And now they're starting to find a way to take away the ball. And I think if you could take away the ball from Jalen Hurts and Ben Johnson, you could take it. I mean, from Jared Goff and Ben Johnson, you could take it away from Jalen Hurts and this Eagles offense. So I'm very confident going in. And Cliff Kingsbury, when they're in their bag, there's no defense in the NFL that can stop them. There's literally no defense for that. And then Dan Quinn versus Nick Sirianni, I feel like that's the biggest gap between any coaching matchup we have. So I'm very confident. I feel like we do have the coaching mismatch. I feel like we have the quarterback advantage as well. And then everything else will fall into place.
Hey, talk to me. What do we got to do to get Eagles fans booing the coaching staff, Nick Sirianni yelling back at the fans this Sunday, and also our coaching staff in its entirety versus theirs?
Yeah, we got to start fast, man. We got to start fast. And like Rico said, with fourth downs, there's going to be a lot of fourth downs that we're going to have to convert, play our game, establish the run game. I feel like we can run the ball against the Eagles, like you brought up. Kyron Williams had a good game. Josh Jacobs for the Packers had a good game. So I think their run defense is good, but it's not as good as what people think. The last 2 weeks, they've really been struggling. They've been struggling to tackle. They led all playoff teams in missed tackles when they played against Josh Jacobs a couple weeks ago in that first round against the Packers. So that's something to look at. But yeah, we're gonna have to start fast, man. Start fast like we did against the Lions. We had a good start against Tampa Bay. So just that first half, if we can go in there and just convert on some of those fourth downs and convert on touchdowns, I think we can take the crowd out of it. Fluster Jalen Hurts and get AJ Brown arguing on the sideline with Jalen Hurts, reading books and whatnot. That's how you can really, if we can just have a strong start, then I think we should be good. As far as coaching, yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn compared to Nick Sirianni, I mean, you look at just the maturity that Dan Quinn has, the leader of men, his leadership, the way he can galvanize a team and get the best out of guys, the culture that he's already set. Being here compared to Nick Sirianni, I mean, like, guys argue on the sideline all the time. I get it, it's football, it happens, but with the Eagles, it's pretty frequent. It happens. You've seen some coaches arguing with each other as well. Him yelling at the fans, him shaving his head. So just some of the antics that Nick Sirianni does, man, it's just like you can tell some of the players don't really respect him. AJ Brown has a rant in the locker room every year. You look at even last year when they had that skid, they lost like 6-7 games in a row last year or something crazy like that. So and he was on the hot seat last year. He was going to get fired. Even when they made the playoffs, the Eagles were really close to firing Nick Sirianni. So that can kind of tell you what the front office thinks about him and what the players think about him. So I think Dan Quinn's the coaching. Dan Quinn's done a good job this year too. Like the fourth downs, clock management has been good, especially compared to the previous regime. I haven't really complained too much about like the 2-minute warning, using timeouts. I think the only time he had a bad challenge was against Dallas. Other than that, he's been really good with challenging plays. And then when you got Jaden Daniels, it makes things a lot easier as far as managing the clock with 2 minutes left, a minute left. Jaden's going to get the ball down there and give us a chance to score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. He's going to give you a chance. So that's a big help too with clock management. But yeah, things like that. I think Dan Quinn has the advantage. I think Cliff as an offensive coordinator is better than Kellen Moore in my opinion. And then Vic Fangio probably has, the edge over Joe Witt Jr. at this point because Joe Witt Jr. is a first-time defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio has a lot of respect from me too. Like you brought up those Broncos team, he's had a lot of good defenses, and the Eagles defense is playing a lot better than what they did last year too. So, but head coach, we got the edge. Offensive coordinator, we got the edge. Only edge they got really is the defensive coordinator, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you brought up Nick Sirianni. I mean, he was on the hot seat early on in this season as well. Even though the Eagles didn't really have that bad of a start, they was going back and forth with the fans. They wanted to run him out of town. So I mean, clearly there's a huge gap in coaching staffs. Vic Fangio probably does have the experience over Joe Witt, so that's why you put him over him. And he obviously has some really good defense in the past, and obviously now. But speaking of Joe Witt, Nance Newmark and Cliff Kingsbury. Let's talk a little bit about this staff in year one. Success brings attention, as we know, and we're now the gold standard. People now wants to take away from us when it was never really like this in my lifetime. Hold on, we got Spirit of Detroit podcast in here. What's going on, bro? What's up, bro? I appreciate you for stopping by and showing some gratitude for still showing up after that butt whooping. He told me that Jared Goff was this, that, and we were going to lose. At least you got some balls to still show up, because your man 313 been ducking all of us. He owed me $40. And I haven't seen him since. So, I mean, shout out to you for at least having some gratitude to show up, man. And better luck next year. I ain't trying to get like that because I don't want to become cocky, but.
Right, yeah. So
would you say it?
I said, enjoy Cancun.
Yeah, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown said he's literally going there. So, in literal fashion, enjoy Cancun. And while we're on the Lions topic for a quick second, did you guys hear, like, when they were doing their post-game interviews, you can hear us turning up through the walls. It was just loud. And St. Brown said, man, he was like that was just like pitiful to like hear us just going crazy. And I loved every single second of his podcast because he was so pissed. And his brother, it was like he was kind of like slightly rubbing it in his face, like, dang, like now you gotta watch Commanders versus Eagles instead of playing in it. And then St. Brown was like, I gotta wait a whole year to now get back there. It was just a good watch, man. But back to what we were saying, the Joe Witt, Lance Newmark, and Cliff Kingsbury all had some interest around their name this season. Joe Witt Jr. just interviewed for a job. Obviously, he's not going to get it, but you can clearly see there's interest around his name in throughout the league. And Lance Newmark, one and done in Washington. So Ed, I'm gonna start with you on this one, man. Again, success brings attention. How do you feel about that, man? Lance Newmark going to the Jets.
Yeah, no, it's a good and bad thing, but it shows that your team is playing really, really well. When you got Joey Jr. getting interviews as a first-time defensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury getting interviews, Lance Newmark as a front office player personnel guy. I mean, it just shows you how much winning really, really, really gets guys on the map. It used to be the other way around. We used to always be desperate and trying to get an offensive coordinator from somewhere else or ask the team permission to interview somebody else. I remember the old rumors of us wanting to trade for Mike Tomlin as a head coach. Like, we're not doing stuff like that anymore. We're not desperate to bring in Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator. Like, we already got our own guys here that are capable. And even if Cliff did leave, we got guys like Tavita Pritchard and Brian Johnson from the Eagles and other guys that can step in and fill in. So we're in a really good spot. And that's what comes with success. I'll be happy. I'm going to be happy for Lance Newmark because he's going to get the job with the Jets. He's the front runner to get it. So I'll be happy for him to get that job. And that's the thing. You want to have a coaching tree too. Like, all the good coaches have coaching trees. You look at Dan Quinn, he has a coaching tree already. Like Raheem Morris with the Falcons, Kyle Shanahan with the Niners, and Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins. I mean, you can kind of say that's our coaching tree with, the guys that we had in 2012, but still, like, Dan Quinn had a lot of those guys in Atlanta already right after that too. So that just shows you how the culture has changed. And Anthony Lynn, man, the Cowboys are interested in him too. So we got a guy, Anthony Lynn, who's our run game coordinator getting interviews, man. So it's just great to hear that. Great to see.
Yeah, definitely. Rico, how do you feel about Lance Newmark going to the Jets and this being the start of the norm for us? And how do you see us also, addressing that now, I guess, vacancy at some point, promote within or Adam Peters going out and bringing somebody else in?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway from the whole Jets Newmark thing is I think it was like a Jets reporter that like did like a tweet about it and said something about Lance Newmark is like the genius. I forgot exactly how they worded it, but they tried to give him credit for a lot of the things that happened. And I like Lance Newmark, but they tried to make it seem like he hired Kingsbury or something like that. We hired him after Kingsbury, so the Jets are already trying to y'all's point, like trying to take some of that Commander's success and seem like, oh, we got the guy that was responsible for it. And I mean, they just flat out. I don't know if they didn't do their research or if they just flat out lying on purpose. But they tried to give Lance Newmark credit for the whole Kingsbury thing and all. It was crap. I gotta find the tweet again, but that was my biggest takeaway from the Lance Newmark thing. I feel like there are a lot of candidates. I mean, Adam Peters, like one of the main things that before we even hired him, one of the reasons we wanted to get him was that his relationships around the NFL with other smart people like GM candidates and things like that, or even NFL agents, not just like the actual players, but their agents. Like he's the guy that everybody loves and talks to. That's why we're able to put together some of these trade packages that we have been, because we have good relationships with everybody. Nobody's trying to blackball us or anything. The only time people really tried to blackball us was when we were trying to trade up for a tackle and they tried to, take advantage of the fact that they felt like we were desperate for one. But other than that, I feel like we've maximized the value we can get in any trade situation we've been in. But as far as like the healthy relationships that he has all around the league, I'm pretty sure whoever we bring in to replace Lance Newmark is going to be a very talented guy. There's some guys maybe available from his time with the 49ers that we may look into and things like that. But either way, I mean, my whole thing is I don't have like an exact candidate that I want. It's more so I trust Adam Peters on whoever he decides to go for, because I mean, so far every time they've earned the benefit of the doubt and they've hit it out of the park every step of the way. So why stop now? Whoever they bring in, I trust they're a genius in some way, shape, or form. Don't forget we have Brandon Sosna, who's like he's like the Sean McVay of front office guys, and he's just here chilling, doing cap space stuff and things like that. So I trust whatever they put together is going to be fantastic.
Nah, definitely, man. I do think AP has earned that right to just, we don't as fans got to put too much thought in it or watch their every move. They're able to do what they do because they've shown, hey, back off, y'all. We got it, man. We don't gotta. You don't have to baby us through this thing. And again, as you both mentioned, I'm excited for Lance Newmark. I hope he goes out there and do good things. And, hey, Rico, let the Jets be, man. They're just trying to find any kind of way to bring their fans excited for the future and bring them fans back to what is it? I forgot the MetLife Stadium. Like they know they got to do everything.
You ain't got to lie, Craig. Man,
that's crazy though. Lying and trying to say, basically take all the Adam Peters credit just to hype up your fan base about, like, that's crazy. I don't think it's nothing wrong with saying, hey, we got a guy in Lance Newmark who was under Washington's GM Adam Peters. So although he may not have that much experience as an assistant GM in Washington, maybe he can take what he saw from Adam Peters that 1 year and apply it to here in New York. Like, it's nothing wrong with just saying that. You don't got to try to lie and say he was the reason for Washington's success, knowing that he's not. And then now, if you say that to your fans and he doesn't live up to that expectation, you just put yourself in an even bigger hole. And that, now that you said that, Rico, that doesn't strike me as a Woody Johnson kind of move, because this is the same guy who's worries about players' Madden ratings if he wants to bring them in or not. So lying and trying to take credit for somebody else's job to hype up your fan base does not surprise me with the Jets. So that's good for Lance Newmark. And again, one more year for Cliff and Joe Witt is all I ask for before they ship off and go somewhere else, because I think that's definitely coming up in the future. Now, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Sunday. So obviously Washington, or more I should say about Sunday, Washington 60 minutes away from the Super Bowl. Ed, do you have any specific offensive keys that you think Washington must follow for us to be successful on Sunday?
Oh, I guess other than slow down Saquon, other than double team Jalen Carter, those are your two biggest ones right there. But other than that, like I said, you got to establish a run game. You got to take the pressure off of Jaden so he doesn't have to put the cape on and run for 80 yards or run for 100 yards. Can another running back step up? Like B-Rob, can he step up again? Or Eckler give you some yards on the ground, or McNichols, whoever, because Chris Rodriguez is going to be inactive, so that's huge for me. Brandon Coleman, too. He didn't have his best game Thursday. Thursday night, we played the Eagles, but he played a lot better the second game, so I had to see play against the Eagles defensive line. But another one for offense, too, of course, is the receiving core. Diami stepped up a bunch. Does he do it again? And who else can step in and help Terry out? Of course, we got to give Terry at least 10 targets this game. But which other receiver is going to step up and make a big play, man? It's going to be huge because we need all hands on deck at the receiver position for sure.
Definitely some good points. So, Rico, any points early on in the week that you think Washington must follow to get this victory on Sunday and go to the Super Bowl?
Man, for sure. We got to take advantage of the injuries that those guys are dealing with right now. I don't know if y'all have seen the injury report, but we already knew that, like, Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell were really banged up because Jalen Hurts left the game at a certain point against the Rams with a knee injury, but he came back in. Quinyon Mitchell left with a shoulder injury, never returned to the game. And then when you look at the injury report, they're limited, but I feel like that's more so damage control. I highly doubt Jalen Hurts missed this game. Even if he only has one leg, he's going to play. But Quinyon Mitchell may be too banged up to even play. And then on top of that, tight end Dallas Goedert and center Cam Jurgens were both do not participate in practice today with separate injuries as well. So that is a pretty banged up team to some important starters right now. I know our injury report is longer, but a lot of these guys are just kind of rest days, full participants and things like that. Whereas the Eagles, I don't know. They have some really significant injuries over there. We lost Cosme, but it looks like they could potentially be without their starting tight end. They're super hyped up corner. I feel like Mike Sanford is still better, but it is what it is. And I just think we need to target that. If Quinyon Mitchell's not able to go out there, we need to attack their corners constantly. Just like how when the Lions corner broke his arm and we started to just let it fly through the air to take advantage of that, do the same thing against them. And if we don't have to worry about Dallas Goedert and we can focus solely on more so stopping Saquon, especially with the hobbled Jalen Hurts. I mean, his head has been woozy for half the season, and then his knee is hurt. So if he's not as mobile and he's forced to be a pocket passer, I feel like we could definitely get after him. Cam Jurgens, your center, is hurt, and then this defensive line is coming off of arguably their best performance of the season. I think we're playing our best football right now at the best time, and I feel like the Eagles are actually, going on somewhat on a downward trajectory, especially with the injuries that they're having right now.
No, that is a really good point too about Quinyon Mitchell and all the rest of the injuries, because I'm with you. If they are out of this game, that is huge for us to attack their weak points. But even if they are playing, they're clearly not going to be 100%, especially Jalen Hurts. And we know he relies heavily not only on the run game, but his ability to move out the pocket and run. And I don't know if someone was trolling or anything earlier in the chat from my earlier live stream, but they were like, he may be wearing a soft knee brace. I don't know if there's any validity to that or truth, but maybe he does. And I think if that is the case, that can let you know, all right, that knee is not 100%, and he's not going to be able to move around as normal as he wants. And I think you can do some things that you did to Jared Goff. The one thing that we said about Jared Goff going into the game is if you allow him to be comfortable, he can pick you apart. But the second that you flush him and knock him off his game, given the fact that he doesn't like pressure and he can't really move around, the first turnover that he got, I think, is the second, his whole mental just froze and he started to rush and get shaken up because he does not like pressure. And you can knock a guy off his spot and he won't be the same if you would do that. And I think with a hobbled up Jalen Hurts that relies on his mobility and can't really have that, you can do some similar things. So I'm really hoping for an early turnover because I think that could really set the tone for the game moving forward, especially with all these injuries that they had. Ed, I'm going to come to you right after we get through the game. We're going to continue a little bit talking, but now it is time for the game. My man Ed said that he's going to get it right today, and I hope so. I feel like today, I know I said that last week, but I think today is pretty easy. So, all right, we got the two. Can you guess the Washington Commanders players' names or players by their voice? All right, Ed, I'm going to start with you. You ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That all week was, hey, let's go out there, be us, play like we do, and we'll see where the chips fall. And for us, we were pretty confident in ourselves to go out there and continue to make plays.
Is that Taylor Heineke?
Nah, it's a current player.
Oh,
It's a current player. Current
okay.
player. My bad. I should have said that.
Current player talking like that.
If you need me running back for you, I can. Say it again.
Is that a Tressway?
Nah, you want me running back for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's go.
That all week was, hey, let's go out there, be us, play like we do, and we'll see where the chips fall. And for us, we were pretty confident in ourselves to go out there and continue to make plays.
Yeah, there you go. Austin Eckler.
That's how he sounds. That's crazy.
I was just gonna say that, like when Ed said like Tressway and stuff like that, I was like, I'm not surprised that he said that because like he does not look how he actually sounds. Like I'm not even trying to be funny, but yeah, like you got it right though. Austin Eckler, yes sir. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Getting on a roll. All right, Rico, you ready?
Let's go. That don't just happen. Yeah. We're gonna win a lot of games if we keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? So,
how long do you guys enjoy this one?
Just a 24-hour rule.
Oh, and I remember seeing that. I literally remember 25-hour rule. I'm sick.
If you need running back for you, I got you. Just let me know.
One more time, please. One more time.
All right, bet. All right, it's sad. It's right.
No, that don't just happen. Yeah. We're gonna win a lot of games if we keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? So,
how long do you guys enjoy this one?
Just a 24-hour rule.
And it's recent too. I was gonna say Noah Brown. I'm gonna go Marshawn Lattimore.
That's your final answer?
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna stick with that guess.
Y'all boys like our commanders on a roll. Marshawn Lattimore, who
it
was.
Close to Noah Brown after the Bears game, so I don't know. That was my next.
Yes, sir. Austin Eckler and Marshawn Lattimore, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. There we go, matching the Commanders' energy with the win streaks, man. So that's the second time in a row that y'all got it correct on the first time. What'd you say?
Michael Robinson's comment about Austin Eckler is why I thought it was Tressway at first.
Oh yeah, nah, definitely. That's why I'm saying like I don't like blame you for thinking that because he does not like sound how he looks. And I like before Marshawn Lattimore came here, I didn't know he was like. Well, he gives me country vibes. I could be wrong, but like he gives me like down south kind of accent. I did not know Marshawn Lattimore sounded like that either. So those are definitely some good guys to talk about or try to guess. I should say.
I think he's from Ohio. I think he's born and raised Ohio. I think
really that's how people from Ohio
just
sound.
From high school. They sound a little bit like Cali sometimes to me, so that helped a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That Midwest sound a little Cali-like to me sometimes. I don't know.
Let me see. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. I thought he would have been like Cleveland, Ohio. I guess they do sound like that. I ain't really know that he was from around there. I definitely thought he was like New Orleans or something. Not New Orleans, but like somewhere down in the South. But I guess Midwest is where Marshawn Lattimore's from. So speaking of Lattimore, let's talk about some guys that we talked about last week going into the Detroit game. Guys that had to step up. A lot of y'all say like Frankie Louisville, et cetera. Dorrance Armstrong, guys that hasn't stepped up in a while. So for Washington to be victorious on Sunday, who are some guys that you looking to have, a game again? Rico, I'll start with you.
Man, another Diami great game would be huge. I mean, if he just continues this streak of balling, that could be big time on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, there's so many guys we can say that need to step up, but I think another Diami balling out game would be big time. Of course, Brian Robinson would probably be my honorable mention right there for him to get revenge. Remember, he was talking trash basically to the Eagles before that second game, and then he went out there and fumbled the ball twice in 6 carries, and then he really, it's been since then that we've been doubting him. And I was like literally the start of the Brian Robinson doubt and we need to trade up for Ashton Genty and all that type of stuff starting. So I need him to go out there and show that, you can wait to take running back till second or third round. I'm going to need him to go out here and finish this run, go all the way to the Super Bowl, balling. So he'll be my honorable mention. And then defensively, I mean, another Jonathan Allen game like that could be huge, man. Because I trust Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong. They seem to have heated up. Dante Fowler's been consistent all throughout the year with, random flashes in games. So I trust my edge rushers. But if Jonathan Allen can play like that again like he did against the Detroit Lions, but against the Philadelphia Eagles, especially if Jalen Hurts is as hurt as it seems, then everything else is going to take care of itself. I trust Marshawn Lattimore now that he's had a full week or more to prepare for A.J. Brown this time. Last time they played, he barely got to prepare for him, and I still feel like it was kind of 50-50 on the wins with the refs hating a little bit. And then the secondary is going to do their job. I trust the linebackers. If Jonathan Allen and this defensive line can ball out, I think everything else will take care of itself.
Definitely, those are some great points, especially the run game aspect of B-Rock, because I think him or Eckler gonna have to have a huge game. Hey, what about you? Who are some guys that you're looking at that has to be an X factor for Washington to be victorious on Sunday?
Yeah, like Rico brought up De'Ami. He's got to keep doing what he's doing. Had a great game against the Buccaneers. Awesome game against the Lions. I think another receiver that could be an unsung hero and just step up in a big moment is OZ, man. OZ or Crowder, one of the two, can certainly step up and make a big impact like they did the last Eagles game where Crowder had the walk-off TD, and then OZ had 2 touchdowns and gave us some yak too. So I think there's going to be huge other receivers stepping up. And then like we talked about earlier, the run game with B-Rob. And also Eckler, man, he's gonna be huge too, man. He had a great game against the Lions, solid game against the Buccaneers. But the last time we played the Eagles too, he had 89 yards receiving. So using him out there for the screen game, just some of the quick check down passes, making it easier for a rookie quarterback. I think Austin Eckler is going to be huge in the game plan too. He's a chain mover, man. Usually when he gets the ball, it's a first down and more. Almost every time he touches the football.
Yeah, definitely. And defensively, like you already mentioned, Rico, Jonathan Allen. A lot of people have been saying like this is the best game he has had like in a long time.
At least a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. So to see like us potentially building off that. Now again, that can help us slow down Saquon Barkley. We didn't have Austin Eckler the last time we played him, so that's going to help up the run game. And as Ed already said, the pass game, because again, I was about to call him Rico, but Eckler, he always has an ability to be like a bowling ball. He never goes down on initial contact, and he's so good, like run after catch and pass after catch. So those are definitely some good X factors. I'm really looking at that offensive line, though. I know a lot of people ain't really mentioning it outside of, us and stuff like that tonight and other programs, but like Trent Scott truly may have to be an X factor because depending on how he is on Sunday, that could be the difference in Washington winning this game and not, because again, Jalen Carter has shown time and time again he can be a absolute game wrecker. And then tight ends, I'm gonna go Zach Ertz. I feel Zach Ertz has came on tremendously in honor of his mic'd up dropping, because we all thought it was Terry. I thought it was Terry as well. Maybe they do have that in the tuck, but it was Zach Ertz who stood up for JD5 the day. He was like, "Don't be hitting my boy like that. You ain't like that." Like, I love seeing the guys fired up. So Zach Ertz, I think, is going to have a huge day. And what better way would it be to go against your former team in the link for a national championship or a chance to win a Super Bowl? And obviously, I think he'll be playing a little bit of chip on his shoulder, too, from what Nick Sirianni said to him. We don't know exactly what he said to him, but the fact that their head of security had to step into between them, that definitely was some things that was said back and forth. Of course, they tried to play it down, but I don't think Zach Ertz, forgot about that. They was geeking to say that. I knew somebody was gonna bring that up. He said Ed dozing off again. I knew they was ready. I knew they was ready to say that, man. I knew it. He say Lattimore. No, Lattimore definitely. And that's another thing too that I was gonna bring up as well before we get to one of the final topics. Is he's coming off of 3 games finally. This is gonna be his 3rd game consistently. So I definitely expect him to have a better outcome against AJ Brown this week. I think he's gonna be much better. And potentially get the better of him. I will say this. I guess this can go hand in hand. I'll ask Rico to Ed this, man, because this week we're getting Sean Hockley. I made a video on it earlier this week. The stats were outrageous. He averages like 103 penalties like per game, or penalty yards per game. Like, it's bad, and like he has a favor of the home team. The Eagles are 6-0 when Sean Hockley's calling the games for them. So it definitely puts us at a semi disadvantage. And knowing how physical Lattimore and AJ Brown get, as good as I think Lattimore's gonna be this week, it could be another game in where the refs are heavily involved. And Sean Hockley was actually the one that part of his crew was the ones that kind of hold us versus the Saints. You know what I'm saying? Early penalties on, I think, Dante Fowler that game. And obviously, the main known thing from the clock operator, stopping the clock with 15 or with like a couple seconds to go, which allowed them to get that final playoff. So, Rico, I'm going to start with you. Do you think Sean Hockley, how do you feel about that, him calling our game? Do you think he's going to affect it with the Lattimore and A.J. Brown back and forth?
It does worry me. That's why another reason why I feel like we need to go ahead and get as big of a lead as possible so that we don't allow the refs to take part in this game and to affect the game. Because yeah, to your point, the Eagles are 6-0 with them. We're 1-2 with them, and so he definitely leaned. He must be an Eagles fan or something. I haven't done my research to see if he was born and raised in Philadelphia, but it's bad. And so yeah, my whole thing is, just play well enough and dominate to the point where refs can't take the game away. Because it's like the refs gave the Lions a free 7 points and it still didn't matter. We still won by 14 points, and we could have won by more if we wanted to. So just do the same thing to the Eagles where we take the refs out of the game.
Hey, what about you, man? Does Sean Hockley calling our game worry you for us on Sunday?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I know we talked about the Saints game where that was the crew where they didn't let the clock run or they stopped the clock from running. And that was just ridiculous. And they definitely should have been, those refs should have been either suspension, some type of repercussion or something for that ref and crew. That was unacceptable. It definitely could have cost us a game there for stopping the clock and just stopping the clock basically on the last play of the game there, which is unacceptable. And like you guys brought up too, like hit the Eagles record with Sean Hockley is really good. Our record with him is really bad. So, and we'll see how they call the game with Marshawn. Do they let him and A.J. Brown, get physical? Because the last time we played, A.J. Brown did get away with some stuff where he was grabbing Marshawn's collar. So it's going to be huge. They got to be prepared for the illegal man downfield calls, the holding penalties, false starts. They've done a really good job with that stuff. Tampa Bay, we didn't see a lot of the false starts and stuff. It was like a home game for us. And then even in Detroit, in a hostile environment, we didn't have many penalties. So we've done a great job with that so far in the playoffs. So we just got to be careful, control what we can control. A lot of discipline for sure. I know they're going to be practicing that. They were playing like the Fly Eagles Fly song in their practice, I guess, to get ready for the environment, which is smart by Dan Quinn and the staff for sure. So yeah, I would just block out that outside noise. And I know Sean Hockley, for whatever reason, man, he just really likes the Eagles. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be an uphill battle. We're playing against them and the refs probably. So, but once again, we don't want to make any excuses. Go in there and just take care of business.
Nah, definitely. If we can go in there and take care of business, then Sean Hockley won't be able to be involved. But it's just kind of crazy how the sports, sports always puts their refs or umpires, whatever you want to call them, the ones that have the notable, bad background in the biggest games. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Sean Hockley was a part of that Rams and Saints NFC Championship game missed call from a while ago. Like, it's always the refs with a bad background that always get the biggest game. So I'm hoping that he doesn't have an impact on this game whatsoever. I'm hoping they allow us to play, but he does have a huge track record in calling a lot of penalties per game. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're constantly getting penalties called on us or just stoppage of plays. We have to be borderline perfect versus the Eagles on Sunday if we want to not only win this game against them, but clearly Sean Hockley and the ref crew. So last thing I want to talk to you guys about before we get out of here, it's been an hour already. It's kind of insane how fast time goes every time we do this. Let's see. Fruit says, he says, shout out to Rico. He finds a first place stat for everybody and everything. Yeah, definitely. That's the man right there when it comes to the analytics and stats. Can't wait to see what first place stats he comes up with for us after this game. Speaking of stats, I guess we can go right to break up Rico on this one, man. Doesn't it feel like it's just Washington's year to win the Super Bowl? It's so many stats that's just pointing to the direction of Washington supposed to be hoisting Lombardi this year. Obviously, last time we won, we faced the Bills, and they're on that side that could potentially go to Super Bowl again. I think Joe Gibbs' anniversary of winning a Super Bowl was this past week, or like it's coming up as well soon. I think yesterday on the Commanders Kings, you guys brought up like Kobe's anniversary, death anniversary's coming up, and that's Jaden Daniels' his favorite player. So doesn't it just feel like it's right for Washington to win the Super Bowl? Like everything is pointing into our favor.
Oh yeah, yesterday. I mean, I know it can kind of feel like, we're trying to make things stick, but at the same time, a lot of these historical things, they really do mean something. You just never know, man. And full circle things do happen. History repeats itself. 2005 was the last time we won a playoff game against Tampa in Tampa, and we did that 20 years later. We've been undefeated against the Lions. Guess what? We beat them again. So many things that we've done. And Mark Brunell is on the Lions staff. Antoine Randall is on the Lions staff. So just a lot of full circle moments. I even brought up yesterday, like the last time we've seen a rookie win a championship really in any sport for the most part was Magic Johnson, who has ownership in the team with the Lakers. Magic Johnson beat the Sixers in Philly and got the NBA Finals MVP. Like, it would be a full circle moment for Jaden Daniels to get Super Bowl MVP as a rookie and then beat the Eagles the week before in Philly, just like Magic Johnson had to beat the Sixers in Philly. So it's just like, it's almost destiny. It's like divine destiny. You got the Bills on the other side too. The Bills could be the Chiefs. It could be us against the Bills. We beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. So it's just a lot of historical moments that are just, some of it's not a coincidence, man. Some of it is like, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but a lot of it is just like, man, like this is just, it is. Some of this stuff is happening for a reason, man. And we're due, man. We are so due. It's been 33 years. So it's just like our destiny right now, man. And then even Schefter, there was like the tweet that he accidentally put out in September. He was like, it's going to be the Commanders versus the Chiefs. Like,
yeah.
So, he's got that script, man. He's got that script. So, hey, it's our time, man. Anytime, anybody, anywhere, man. Why not us? It's our time.
Rico, my stat guy. I know you probably got something to tuck for us, man. How you feeling about this and just everything pointing into the direction of Washington supposed to be hoisting that Lombardi this year?
Yeah, shouts out to Ed too, because after you said that on the Commanders Kings last night, I was like, man, we got to find some more stats. And so luckily, who was it? I think it was the Dove Kleiman guy, however you pronounce his name or whatever. Mm-hmm. He put up the fact that like our team is very similar to the 2021 Bengals because their quarterback is a Heisman winner from LSU who transferred from another school after 3 years. Both teams won just 4 games the year prior. Both teams started their season 7-5. Both teams went 4-2 against their division. The point differential is very similar. The Bengals were plus 84. We're plus 94. So maybe that's the extra little jump to not only make the Super Bowl, but how about we win it? Also, both had top 10 offenses, but slightly below average defenses. Both teams' preseason Super Bowl odds and win over unders were the exact same at plus 15,000 and over under 6.5 wins. Both teams beat a pirate-themed team in a wild card game, the Raiders, the Buccaneers. It's so random. Both teams upset the number 1 seed on the road in their divisional rounds, and both will play on the road in the conference championship game against the number 2 seed that they beat by 3 points at home a few weeks prior. The Bengals, Chiefs 34-31, and Commanders beat the Eagles 36-33. The parallels are insane. I don't know how people even take the time to dig these up.
Yeah.
But shouts out for them to provide it for us because I don't have the time to find all of that stuff. I ain't even gonna lie.
That's crazy because it almost sounds like if I wasn't a Commanders fan or somebody that like had involvement in this for real, I'd be like, but they reaching, they're reaching on these stats, man. But like when you put it into perspective and as superstitious as I am, I genuinely be like, okay, I make these comparisons or parallels to these little things. Like you wouldn't think, because Cincinnati beat a pirate-themed team that and Washington did a few years later that they may win the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl. But it's like, hey, man, history has its funny ways. Shout out to Skins fan all day, OG over there, man. He says, what's up, my brothers? I need to kick it with y'all on the panel sometime. Definitely, man. The old times, Big Simple, Corey, Sanchez 405, Skins fans all day, all the OGs, man. Shout out to y'all. And we've been here. We all been here for the bad times. And to see y'all still around, when we're finally good, it's definitely a treat. Shout out to you. He says 2 hours, man. This doesn't happen every year. Look, Michael. Shout out to you. I would love to keep these guys for 2-3 hours, but they're busy, man. But the good thing about it, this is a thing that happens every week now, apparently, because the Washington Commanders continue to win. So hopefully we got one more in us. Dang, who am I? I was about to say Kobe, but what's that? Who's that thing? What sports player said I got one more in me? That little meme that be going around. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You said, Vince Carter. There we go, Vince Carter. Yeah, Vince Carter.
Yeah.
Like we hopefully we got one more in us, man. Next week, hopefully we're rejoicing a Washington Commanders victory and a Super Bowl trip. And I mean, I guess 2 more, because then the week of the game we may be able to do it again. So. Speaking of that, though, I'm gonna let these guys slide to the side and get up out of here, Michael. But don't worry. Hopefully, the Commanders allow us to do this again with getting a victory. So, last words I got for him. Let Rico go to Ed. Give us out there, the people watching, myself, motivation and confidence as to why you feel like this team gonna get it done, and we should believe this team's gonna get it done. Rico.
Man, first of all, I mean, after you beat the Detroit Lions, who are you afraid of? Because honestly, before the playoffs started, whether the Commanders were in the playoffs or not, my favorite to win the Super Bowl were the Lions, even with the injuries that they had. I just felt like their offense was too potent, and even with all the injuries to their defense, they found a way to turn the ball over. Then not only did we beat them in Detroit, we beat them convincingly after, again, I'm going to keep saying that the refs gave them a free 7 points after that fake Dante Fowler face mask where he grabbed the shoulder pad and things like that. I feel like we're a way better team than the last time we played the Eagles, even when we beat them. People are going to make excuses about Jalen Hurts not playing, but he's not an all-pro safety or all-pro edge rusher that could have prevented us from scoring the 36 points that we scored. So I just feel so confident going into this game because, again, they also have injuries. So even guys that will be playing will be hobbled, like Jalen Hurts. Non-mobile Jalen Hurts is whoo, and then his confidence is going down. Ben Kurt just did a whole Twitter thread breaking down film and showing clips of how, like, quarter to quarter, Jalen Hurts literally got worse in that Rams game, and maybe injury has something to do with that, but he's saying maybe confidence as well. I just feel like we have all of the momentum going up, and all of their trajectory is going down. And so I just feel like this is our time. We're the team of destiny. Again, the Ed stats, the stats I got from Dove Kleiman, I just feel like it's all meant to be. And then you also have everybody kind of rooting for us too. Like outside of like the Eagles fan base, maybe some Hayden Cowboys fans or whatever. Generally, the rest of the world, especially America, wants to see the Commanders make it over. They're tired of the Eagles. They're tired of the Chiefs. And I just feel like we have everybody behind us, and let's do it.
Ed, what you got for us, man? Give us the reason why we should be confident that we're going to win this game and go to New Orleans.
Man, yeah, Rico summed it up really well, man. Confidence is sky high right now. I mean, of course, the quarterback, Jake Daniels, is giving us the utmost confidence. Everybody believes in him. And if we have the ball, whether we're down or up with, 2 minutes left in the game, we got to put a team away, or we need a field goal. We're down by 5, or if we're down by 5 and we need 7. We know Jaden Daniels is going to give us a chance. He just needs the ball in his hands. He gives us a chance. 4th downs are going to be huge, like I always say. Slowing down Saquon and just making Jalen Hurts beat us, man, and forcing him to throw the football. Like if we can do that and put the game in his hands, I think we should have a really, really good chance to win. And Saquon may still have a good game. We've beaten teams giving up 100 yards on the ground. Like we just did it to Jahmyr Gibbs, basically. Bucky Irvin had a good game too. Like the whole season, we haven't really shut down the run. So if he goes for 100, I still think we have a good chance to win the game. But yeah, I mean, the confidence is sky high right now, man. We're playing good football. Everybody's buying in right now. So the defense is forcing turnovers, man. Quan Martin with a pick 6, Mikey Sanders still 2 picks, Jeremy Chin a pick, Bobby Wagner picking up a fumble in the Buccaneers game. I think the formula is we got to force a turnover clearly, and we just got to convert on 4th downs too, man. And I think we'll be fine. I would take a look at. I think kicking's going to be important too. Jake Elliott has been awful for the Eagles, so I think he's going to miss at least an extra point and a field goal too. And then Zane Gonzalez we need him to step up too, man. We need him to knock down all his kicks because I think it is gonna come down to 1 or 2 field goals that are gonna be super important or extra points. So, but clearly, Jaden Daniels, man, he's the best quarterback right now. He's playing the best football out of all the quarterbacks that are left right now. So he may not be the best at all for right now at this point because he's a rookie or whatever, but he's playing the best football right now. He's clutch, man. Like the NFL YouTube channel just came out with a clutch Jaden Daniels video, like all his clutch highlights. It was like a 10-minute video. I haven't watched it yet, but I already know him. We've all seen him this year anyway. But yeah, if Jaden puts that cape on, man, I think we'll be fine.
Nah, definitely. I'm going to check that out as well after we get off here because it was like Jaden Daniels insane clutch highlights, but they get insanely clutcher like as the video get longer. So it's definitely going to be it's definitely going to be fire to check out, man. But I appreciate y'all for
man, that's going crazy too.
We do got that Terry clip is insane. Like we knew Terry had that fire in him for years because like even going back to his early time with Trayvon Diggs when he was a rookie, Trayvon Diggs been a rookie when he had the 27 on, and Terry, like they were going back and forth, and the next play Terry smokes him for a touchdown over the top. Like Terry's always had that fire in him, but not like this, man. He dropping the F-bomb, he going crazy, leading the fellas out there saying, when the money, fame, and all that is gone, how they gonna remember you? I know how they gonna remember me as a dog. Like I love seeing that from Terry. And the crazy thing about it is, it's a million of Terrys in the locker room when it comes like that. Bobby Wagner, I'm pretty sure speaks like that. Frankie Louvu, obviously Jonathan Allen. Like we got guys that are gonna always speak like that and speak life into the squad before we go out there and play. And man, let's go ahead and get it done, fellas. I appreciate y'all again as always for stopping by. And as you see on the whiteboard, winning for Sam. As if we needed extra motivation, we got it now. Bulletin board material from Eagle Seth Jordan, former player. And obviously, winning for Sam is being boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Check out Street Scores and also Ed Oliver if you haven't already. The real Ed Oliver. Can't wait to see that matchup in a few weeks. Ed Oliver versus Ed Oliver. I'm backing my guy, Ed Oliver, the real one, holding it out for the burgundy and gold. Y'all have a best one. Stay safe out there. Peace.